Okay, so here goes the first tyre. First things you're going to need is your tool. So there are two versions. There is one with a bit of copper pipe that goes inside the tyre, and it means you can fill it up a lot quicker. This one here, you have to stop the water and manually vent the air off here. So that just connects onto your tube, onto your rim later. You're going to want some coolant for the anti-corrosion inhibitor. I'm just using what I got left over here. You might want to buy a dedicated amount and fill them up. It's not for the cold or the hot, it's just to help with the corrosion. Sometimes with tractors we run a tube instead of a tubeless, and just run in here so that the water isn't actually in contact with the rim. So there's about 5 litres in here. I want to put 4 of these in. Now your tool just goes on here. Now I only have gravity feed water here, so I don't know how well this will go. I can hear it going in. And just wait. I've seen people use a siphon pump, like a pool pump, to do this, because sometimes they use a special liquid called beet juice, I think it's called. It mustn't be corrosive and it weighs more. It's similar to salt water in weight. Obviously you could use salt water in here if you wanted that extra weight, but like I said, the corrosion problems. So the more expensive one of these sends a little hose up inside and automatically vents all at the same time, so it just fills the tyre up. You don't have to stop and vent it. Triple the price. Okay, so that's taken about half an hour under gravity feed. I think if you did it down on the house under pump pressure, it'd be a lot quicker. You know it's full when you turn the tap off, so this is probably pretty handy if you're going to contemplate this job at home. Get one of these little taps in here, or else you've got to kink the hose every time you've got to vent it. So you turn it on, you let it build pressure in there. Eventually the air pressure builds up and it can't push any more water in, and you push this off. But see how I'm just not getting any air anymore? So that means this tyre's full. So I'll have to take that off. Well, that's not kind of expected. There we go. Tyre is full. Let's put some tyre pressure in it. So we're going to put 45 psi in. psi. Alright, so I suppose, oh, there's the cap. I thought I'd lost it. I suppose I'll go do the other side, and then we'll do some driving around and test it and compare it to before, hey? Okay, so this is both front wheels filled full of water, leveled to the valve stem. You don't fill them all the way because you've got to leave some room for expansion. We don't have the risk of icing up here, but it's still just easier to fill it to that 3/4, and then with 45 psi pressure in it. Look, it definitely feels heavier in the front. As expected, she's a little bit more tippy towards the front with the load, with all the weight up front there. This is about where I expected her to want to tip. But it's not too bad. Alright, what do I think? Weight in the front wheels is definitely an advantage. Definitely feels more planted, more stable, especially climbing up there on the steep stuff, moving materials around. Certainly more tippy this way with only the front done. It'll be interesting to see what happens when we equal out the balance. There was no loss of power that I noticed to the wheels, so that's a bonus. Anyway, let's get the rears filled up and have another little test. Thanks, guys. Okay, so that's all four filled up full of water. We'll just pump them up now to 45 psi and go give it another test. Let's see how this one goes. Okay, this is a four-wheel water test. So all four wheels now are filled full of water up to the valve level, give or take. They've all got a dose of corrosion inhibitor or coolant here in Australia. So let's see how it goes. All the four wheels are set to 45 psi. Honestly, it immediately feels more stable, to be honest. Look at that, much more stable. The bucket tyre. Before we had the bucket much lower. That's very nice. All right, so that's the little test there with the 4 wheels filled full of water. I got to tell you, you feel a lot more confident. It's only a subtle difference, but it really does feel a lot more planted, and you can definitely, I can lift the bucket higher and dump higher. Yeah, definitely improves your confidence on the machine. I'd highly recommend it if you're feeling nervous. It really does improve the balance. Like, look at this, I got the bucket up pretty high, and you got 2 wheels on the ground. Yeah, highly recommend it. Do it.